You got going, everybody? My name is Seth Thorpe, and today is a special day, hopefully, because this is the first day or first episode of our new podcast that we're starting. Going to be releasing it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and YouTube, all the platforms. And the name of this podcast, as you see as you clicked on it, this is the Basketball Therapy Podcast. Now, it means a couple things, but the main thing that's going to be is that I'm going to have, as you're seeing in the background here, it's going to have like footage of me practicing basketball. And I'm going to be honest here, after watching this first episode and going back and looking at it, you're probably going to think I'm the worst basketball YouTuber there is. And you know what? That's okay, because at the end of the day, it's probably a good thing that I didn't chase basketball in my career, at least playing wise. Now, if it's something in YouTube or whatever, that's a different thing. But playing wise, I'm kind of happy because I don't know if my body could take that, and we'll get into that later. But the main thing we're talking about here is this is just the first episode. It's a bit interesting to do a first episode and set everything up because you have to find topics to talk about. You can't build off what you did before. Kind of just going and flowing and figuring it out. But what I mainly want to accomplish with this podcast and what I'm hoping to do is that I can use basketball, at least the background, as a form of kind of like a serenation in a sense. Just watch it, you zone out. It's like when you're actually practicing basketball by yourself. You're just putting up shots, you're putting up some layups, you got your earbuds in, you're not really trying to think about anything else besides ball and hoop. And there's something just so relaxing about it. It's a form of meditation in my mind. But while you're watching me do that, I'm going to be talking about stuff that matters to me. And some of that may be basketball. Some of that may be what's going on in my life. Some of that may be what's going on in the world. I'm not exactly sure what to talk about moving forward, but I know for today, what we're going to be talking about is just a bunch of just stuff I just want to yap about. And it's mainly about basketball, and it's mainly about my health. So that's what this podcast is going to look like. If you're wondering when to expect this podcast, probably I'm hoping I can get one out every other week, hopefully. I know this is something that's going to take a lot of my time, and so I want to give it the care and grace that I know this kind of podcast deserves. And if I give it every other week, I feel like there's enough time to let NBA events build up, trades build up, rumors, etc. It make it feel like I'm not pushing out something every single day. But if it just does really well and you guys really want it, I might try to push for once a week. But I'm gonna set the expectations realistic for now because I want to make something that's sustainable and not something that's gonna burn me out and put me in a more vulnerable position to fail at what I'm already doing. With that said, though, I really just want this to be a podcast you can just click on and just chill and listen to. So without further ado, I just want to get into it. The first thing I want to talk about, the first topic for basketball therapy. Actually, before we get into that, I want you to just acknowledge what's going on in the footage. I'm not exactly sure what all has spliced, but you'll see through a lot of it. It's me really just trying to figure out my shot again, because as I'll talk about later, I'm not in the healthiest form right now. My right leg has a bunch of little tiny naggy injuries that are affecting my jumper. I've had surgeries in my arm, and I'm not even that athletic or that coordinated. So honestly, to me, I feel like me making shots like I did right there, I feel like me making shots, that's a step in the right direction. I always feel like that's going to be something that I can hang my hat on when I can actually hit a shot, especially in rhythm. But then when I miss one, I'm not going to be too upset about it. But that's not really the point. I may joke about if I have a really bad miss or something like that, we go along. We'll see how that goes. But beyond that, just want to go straight into it. The first topic we're going to talk about is the NBA dead season, because the NBA is in this weird place right now where shit's not really going on. It's not really anything happening. The league is kind of weird. Everyone just kind of sitting around, kind of holding their hands. You have Danny Ainge trying to finesse the Warriors out of all their draft picks and their next child or whatever they have going on over there. I don't know. Danny Ainge is an evil, evil man when he's running this business, but I get it. It's his job. But for the rest of the teams who's already made off-season signings, who's already made their trades, they're just kind of sitting around hoping no one gets hurt while they're doing their off-season training and just hoping that you have the best chance at a championship next year. Some of my favorite moves through the off-season, I've talked about this at least in a couple videos, or maybe not video, but a couple TikToks or anything I've made. If you've seen those, I really love the Mikal Bridges move for both teams. I love for Brooklyn because Brooklyn somehow just unfucked themselves. I don't know. I've never seen a team somehow magically unfuck themselves as fast as Brooklyn did. It was looking like Brooklyn had put themselves in the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce situation all again in the exact same way, where they have none of their draft picks. They're going to be bad because they don't really have any good players. And then that pick ends up being good players. And so far, one of the players we might talk about in a second, Rehab, he's looked really good in Summer League. And you're thinking to yourself, well, Brooklyn just kind of did this to them twice in like a 10-year, 15-year span. Brooklyn did the exact same thing. But somehow, because of the grace of Houston wanting to chase after Kevin Durant for who knows why. I know it's Kevin Durant, but by the time you're going to get Kevin Durant, he's going to be 36, 37. I understand they want to compete before they have to start paying everyone. But it's a bold move by Houston to want to go after the draft assets to be able to go get someone like Kevin Durant or maybe Devin Booker, because it's not guaranteed you get them. But at the same time, if you don't get them and this team has to blow up anyway, I mean, those picks are not going to be good. So, I mean, hey, hold on to them, get a good draft pick, and refill your team depending on how it looks in like 27, 28. Things can go bad in like 2-3 years. I mean, it was like 2-3 years ago we were saying the Suns are going to be having a great team for a long time, led by Devin Booker and friends with Mikal Bridges and everyone. And now, Mikal Bridges is on the team in New York. I don't know why I forgot the New York Knicks name. That was that was weird. Sometimes I forget things, and that's going to happen on this podcast. He's playing with the Villanova Knicks. So that's what Mikal Bridges is doing right now. I think New York gave up a lot, but I can't be too mad at it. It's just kind of just is what it is. New York, they're making the move. I don't know what they're going to do with their roster moving forward, because they have like not really holes. They just have a lot of they have a lot of interesting pieces. And with Jalen Brunson taking that pay cut, I genuinely wonder what they're going to do moving forward in order to make this team work, because that is an unprecedented pay cut, taking $100 million less, at least in the short term, when he could have just waited a year and then he would have been fine. I think it's shocking. You don't see that often, but with that happening, New York has to take advantage of it. So they paid OG $42 million, which that happened. You paid OG that much money. You have Julius Randle on contract for 2 more years, which who knows what's going to happen with Julius Randle. You still have Mitchell Robinson. You kind of need a backup center. Like you still probably have Precious Achiuwa, but outside of him, you kind of want someone better as a backup center. Like you wish you could have Isaiah Hartenstein still. But at the end of the day, OKC gave him a bag, and Isaiah Hartenstein would be stupid to not take that bag and stay in New York instead. I mean, I think it was like $23 million. It was a lot of money for Isaiah Hartenstein, but it makes sense for OKC to pay out that money while they still have a chance to. I think moving next, just quickly touching on Summer League. I've enjoyed it. Haven't watched too many games. I watched a few, but the main players I want to shout out: Ricky Council, really good player. He should be in the Sixers rotation next season. If he's not, Nick Nurse is not doing a great job, or it's just everyone else has stepped up so far that Ricky Council isn't. He looks like an NBA player while he's on the court. Players like Reece Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, they look like they don't belong in Summer League because that's how good they look. I think I watched Reece Shepherd dump it off to Cam Whitmore in the paint, and Cam Whitmore just off bounds, just did a back scratcher. Like, that's insane. I can barely, after my injuries, I can barely touch backboard. So the thought of even doing a back scratcher, just he had a running start baseline, but it looks like he literally just like jumped up to smack the wall. Like, it looks like he literally just tippy-toed up to touch the net. And I think finally with Summer League, the Grizzlies, Gigi Jackson, Zach Edey. Zach Edey got hurt. I hope he gets better. It looks like it's not too much going on, but with that said, I think the final thing I want to talk about with the NBA before I get into anything else really is the Olympics. The Olympics are fun. I don't know if you guys really care about them a lot outside of basketball, but Olympics are going to be fun this year. Track and field, I'm going to be keeping an eye on them. while I've been working the job, I'm working in person in real life. At the end of the day, I would go into this office and I would just chill out until I wanted to go home. And what would happen is like the Olympic trials for like certain sports, and at least in the U.S. side, was going on. And some of the sports they had on there, they would have like it was a lot of swimming. That's what I watched. I watched a lot of swimming. So synchronized swimming, synchronized diving. But it's one of the things where it's like, oh my God, these athletes, just the sports as a whole is something beautiful. And even watching a sport that I don't fully understand, or at least fully appreciate as much as I could, I think it's beautiful just being able to watch our athletes compete at the highest level, and then watching the other countries who I would never have a chance to watch because I've never heard of them, at least until I get to watch them at the Olympics. And I think it's going to be really fun in Paris because it's kind of a shit show in Paris right now. Not really like the country itself, but them preparing for the Olympics, because they're doing things a bit unorthodox. And one of the main things they're doing unorthodox is the Paris River that they want the swimmers to swim in. And the main reason why it's unorthodox is because that river is absolutely disgusting. And it's been like that for a long time. And so like a year or like a year or two ago, when they were like, okay, we're going to host Olympics and we're going to have people swim, we're going to have this river cleaned up. Time gets closer and the river still isn't that clean. It's still nasty, but the time is ticking down. Time is not on Paris's side. And so they keep telling we're going to have it clean. We're going to have the mayor swim in it. But because fucking France just like the protests everything. They like if we need to take any protesting tips, we need to take it from France, because they got the fucking blueprint put down. The president had to keep delaying when he wanted to swim in the river, because protesters were planning when to shit in the river, being to swim in it. And also they were saying, like, if you can't make it out to shit in the river with us, here's where you can shit, or at least at what time you can shit, in order for it to hit the river. And so, but apparently, not too long ago, or at least a few days ago, I don't know when the podcast will come out, the mayor, even though the president didn't swim in it, at least the mayor did. I don't know how clean it is. I don't think it's that clean. I'm kind of worried for our swimmers, and at least any other country's swimmers, even Paris's own swimmers. I'm worried for them because I wouldn't want to get that out of my mouth. I wouldn't want to drink it. But hey, you know what? Maybe they really did make a difference, and we're just hating because we're on the outside. But enough about the swimming. The main thing you guys want to hear about is Team USA and basketball, and how this team almost lost to South Sudan. And the main reason they almost lost to South Sudan is because it's you ever seen that you've seen that Cat Williams interview where he's talking to Shannon Sharp. He's like, yeah, you got the resources, you got everything else, but when you put me on that line with boy, let's see if all that really matters. And that's exactly what happened. It was Team USA has everything. And South Sudan, if you don't know about South Sudan was a country created about 13 years ago. It was created when Sudan split up, and it became two countries, North Sudan, South Sudan. And essentially, from there, you have a few hoopers who were just coming together. Like, as I think one of them, Wenya Gabriel said, he said, Team USA, but, South Sudan is a bunch of refugees all coming together to play for their country. I think there's something poetic in the fact that even though South Sudan lost to Team USA despite putting up such an effort, and you probably aren't going to go that far moving forward in the Olympics, they qualified, and they look like a legit team that can at least win a game, or at least even if they don't win a game, can at least put up a fight. And I think the biggest thing to take away from that is two things. One, the game isn't over until the game isn't decided until it's over. And we saw from right there, it's like Team USA, they kept fighting, even though they should have never been fighting to come back when they were against South Sudan. That should have been a game they were up by 40 plus on. I think that was the line they had set, like 43 points. And also, I think it shows that Team USA, even though it has all the talent, not all this talent comes together well. Steve Kerr has some work to do when it comes to not building this roster, it's already built, to actually getting the rotations right and seeing what works and what doesn't. I don't know why, it's just not working. He keeps subbing out lineups when, they're doing fine, or he keeps putting in players that don't really run the offense. Tyrese Halliburton really hasn't played this last game because, I don't know, they just kind of just let LeBron, Curry run the show, which I'm fine with. But then you put out lineups with Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards is just rim running, and I get it, it's Anthony Edwards, but at the end of the day, FIBA ball is different, and you can't just out talent the other team. At least when we get against other teams like France, when we go against other teams like Australia, these teams are going to be well put together. They've been training for a lot longer than we have, and they're gonna just outplay us because they're gonna play smarter than us. And if we don't get it together, this might be a year where we think we're going to run away with the gold, but instead we walk away with silver in a devastating upset versus a team that doesn't have the same talent as us. But once again, the game isn't decided till the game's over. But I'm most excited for that. LeBron gonna be gonna be the first ever basketball athlete to bear the flag during the Paris opening ceremony. I'm excited for that. I'm not even a big LeBron fan. I appreciate greatness when it's in my face, and there's like no other way to put it than it's just LeBron great. Like there's no other way to put it than LeBron's great. I will say when I do watch basketball and I'm watching back this footage, I just wish I was healthy. I wasn't a great athlete. I mean, I could run for a while, and at one point I was able to touch rim. I couldn't dunk or anything, but I was able to touch rim, and I can grip the ball. So maybe there is a potential future where I can dunk. But as it is right now, I just want to be healthy again. And the main thing, it's not like I tore anything. It's just very small nagging injuries that keep me from being 100% that I have to keep working through. It started initially like a year ago when I had Achilles tendonitis. And, I tried to just playing through it, walking through it, stretching it out, but it just wasn't working. And over time, I realized that, okay, I have to do something about this, because if I don't, then it's just going to get worse. And it did, because one day I woke up and I just couldn't walk anymore. And what that looked like is like the calf muscle. Apparently, when I went to PT, they told me that it was so cramped, or the muscles were so misaligned that it was like restricting my knee's ability to bend. And so for a while I was on crutches. It was like 2 months I was on crutches, not because anything was broken or tore, but because I couldn't get into physical therapy to get the muscles relaxed and worked out. But then I eventually got in there, and slowly but surely we worked through it. And it's not perfect per se. Oh my God, I don't. You guys have probably noticed, but I've airballed a lot of fucking shots. Jesus Christ, man. Oh God, yeah. I need to work on that jumper. It'll come with time. And you watch the film, like I'm like making like adjustments in my mind of like, okay, why can it hit? I'm giving myself some grace because that rim is slightly. I don't know if you can see from this angle, but that rim is slightly bent in, and it's a double rim. Not bent in, but like it's like tilted. It's not a straight rim per se. So when shots go in, like it has to be perfect for the shot to go in. But beyond that, going back to the story, my legs have just dealt with my Achilles had the tendonitis. I worked through that, and over and over again, I'm like, but keep going forward. I keep dealing with these tiny injuries, and that goes back to high school where I've dealt with quad injuries. Quad injury kept me from walking too. I've been on crutches a couple times. Hamstring injury that kept me from running as fast as I could. I've not really tweaked my ankle that hard. Like I've done it before, but not enough to where I have a sprain or anything. Just to where I just need to put some ice on it after I got done running. I don't have to do that anymore, but I had to back then. But it's all on my right leg, and I think the big reason for it, and I'm gonna go like get testing for it and figuring out like what's going on, is I think one of my legs are actually longer than the other. I think my right leg is like, I don't even know if it's like that long, like a quarter inch or a half an inch. But regardless of how long it is, it's longer than my left leg, and I think it's bearing so much of the load with that little tiny uneven difference that it's causing it to absorb all the injuries. Because my left leg, it has nothing wrong with it. My left leg is perfectly healthy. I could do all the workouts I do with my left leg and it will feel just fine. But I go to my right leg and just popping, just kicking my leg out slowly. A very loud pop is coming in the quad. The quad, it always feels like tight and tired, even when I do work it out consistently for a long time and go to PT and get it scraped and all that. It still hurt. My hamstrings are still not as good as they could be. A lot of muscles that I have, it's just I injured them and I didn't really get to work through them as I should have because I wanted to keep running. I wanted to keep playing the sport I was in. When in reality, I should have just rested and realized that it's not that serious. So you're not going to go pro or go to college for what you're doing, at least athletically. And I just wish I could just not be as injured as I am. And it sounds like complaining. It really does, because I can still do things. I can still walk. I'm still alive. But I would like to like not go to the gym and not feel like if I do a movement wrong that it's going to severely tweak my muscles, or I have to go to PT every other week when I really can't afford to because I'm still in college. I just I just want to be healthy, and I know that may be a lot, but I'm gonna keep working through it. I have a workout plan. I'm starting to do a split workout plan, or at least like split legs. So no, I'm not doing any like I forgot the word for it. I think it's like bilateral. No, that's not bilateral. It's a word where it's like you're working both the legs at the exact same time. It's like a squat or a deadlift. That's like what it is. I'm not doing like regular squats or regular deadlifts. It's like I'm doing a single leg, like a Bulgarian, or doing lunges. It's just leg workouts that work specifically one leg majority of that time. And I think what that can do is allow this leg to work together and get strong separately and not have one become over dependent on the other. And I think that would make it so my right leg is a lot stronger than it actually is. With that said, I think this is a good experience for me with hurting my leg. I know it's not good to be injured, but it at least lets me know that like I can work through adversity, that even if I'm in a bad position for a short amount of time, it doesn't mean I'm going to be in that position forever. I feel that sometimes, especially when you're hurt physically and you rely on physical activity to boost your mental health like I do, it can be really hard. It can be really hard to be in the dirt and be in the mud mentally and think that you're not worthy or you're not good enough. But if you can just get out of that mindset, or at least put that mindset to the side and say, I know I'm going to think like this, but I have to be okay and I'm going to be okay, then you can overcome this injury, because that's what I'm having to do right now. And I'm going to overcome it because there's nothing that's going to stop me from doing it. I just have to do it. But it just starts with me being consistent and not overtraining my body and not doing the same things that get me hurt every single time, and not hooping when I'm not supposed to. Even this video is different because I technically can hoop, but before I was hooping even when I was hurt. I have to keep doing them, because if I don't, I'm going to be stuck in a place I don't want to be. And I know a lot of people who are, and I don't want to be like them. Maybe that's a deeper conversation for another time. But regardless of that, mainly wrap this up. NBA dead season's kind of weird, but it's fun. There's a lot of speculation. I'm going to be making more videos over time about things that are going on. Rehabbing is always going to be tough, but it's something that you just kind of have to work through, and something I'm working through, and I'm positive that I'm going to be okay, even if it feels like I'm not going to be okay in the moment. Even when I can't walk, or when it feels like my leg can barely hold on, I'm doing all the right things. I'm stretching, I'm rolling, I'm exercising, I'm making sure I'm not pushing my body, I'm hydrating, I'm sleeping, I'm eating properly. I'm doing all the right things. Now I just have to let time do its thing. I have to let time work on my side. And I think with that, I just want to say thank you guys for listening. This podcast is going to come out, like I said, every other Saturday, every other week, supposedly, whenever it does come out. I just kind of want to make it to where I can give it time and give it effort to flesh out ideas if I really needed to. I just want to make sure that when I do this podcast, it's not rushed and I'm not forcing something that's unnatural. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'm okay with that. But I want to make it work, because why not? I have one life. I'm young. I can do many things. Why not do this thing? Why not? With that said, again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and comment if you're on YouTube, and subscribe as well. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, give this a good rating, whether it's liking it, hearting it, or giving it 5 stars. I get it all mixed up. But regardless, thank you for watching or listening. Have a great day. And remember, even if your shots aren't going in today, that doesn't mean they won't go in tomorrow. Keep it easy, everybody.